The Pac-12 finds itself treading water as UCLA and USC depart for the Big Ten in 2024. In this segment of Saturday Sportsline Memories, I talk with Brady McCollough, sports reporter for the Los Angeles Times, about the impact of moving to the Big Ten on UCLA and USC athletes, as well as the future conference affiliations of San Diego State and Notre Dame. I'm Michael D. Lee, and I run the Saturday Sportsline Memories YouTube channel. In addition to this interview with Brady McCollough, you'll also find sports voices of the past coming alive once again. The voices of great athletes such as Muhammad Ali, Stan Musial, Wilma Rudolph, and Gale Sayers. Coaches such as George Allen and Ralph Miller. Broadcasters such as Dick Enberg, Kurt Gowdy, and Harry Carey. Even a couple former baseball commissioners, Bowie Kuhn and Happy Chandler. So please like and subscribe to Saturday Sportsline Memories. Now, a July 7, 2023 interview with Brady McCollough of the Los Angeles Times on Saturday Sportsline Memories.
Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you for talking to me. And I know that the Pac-12 realignment machinations are a very fluid story, but I wanted to ask you first about what you thought of the impact on USC and UCLA athletes having to regularly cross over 2 or 3 time zones to play conference games when the Trojans and Bruins are admitted into the Big Ten in 2024.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously a big ask to have your non-revenue athletes competing in, as far away as, Piscataway, New Jersey, or College Park, Maryland, or, University Park, Pennsylvania, on and on. But I think we have to go back to that phrase I just used, non-revenue. The athletes in those sports, to be frank, they have those scholarships and those positions to compete for these universities because of the money and the prestige of big-time college football. And that's what's driving this bus. And, I think the amount of money that the USC and UCLA athletic departments are going to have in the coming years is going to at least double based on being in the Big Ten. And these athletic departments are going to be able to support these sports that in a way that they would not be able to do it if they had stayed in the Pac-12 or didn't get this major boost of revenue. So that, yes, the extra travel is going to be tough on these students. Many of them who are real student athletes, but they're young. They can study on flights. They're getting an incredible opportunity to wear the cardinal and gold and the blue and gold of UCLA and compete in the sports that they love and their craft and train to be Olympians and be educated at world-class institutions. And their experience on campus is going to be better because of this move day in and day out, because those programs are going to have the ability to be buttressed with the top of the line, everything from nutrition to tutoring to, the facilities they play in. Over time, USC is already announcing, an improved baseball facility, improved, I believe, swimming, field hockey and women's soccer. They're getting new stadiums. None of that stuff is coming through and is happening without the assurance that they're going to be flush with cash in the future. So I think all of this lends itself to improved student-athlete experience overall. Just not, obviously the travel is an inconvenience within all of that.
Last few days, there's been talk about San Diego State, and I'll get to that in just a little bit, but I wanted to get another preliminary question out of the way. Why has, in your opinion, the Pac-12 not pursued UNLV apparently? December 1 is the conference football championship game. It's being played in Las Vegas, but I haven't heard anything in reports I've read that the Pac-12 is actively going after UNLV.
Yeah, well, they already have a relationship with the city of Las Vegas. That they've been having their Pac-12 basketball tournament there at T-Mobile. They've got the championship game of football there now, as you mentioned, and those things are all there. Apart from the fact that sure, I guess that there's a chance or a way they could someday pursue UNLV as a school, but they already get to use Vegas and already get to use the platform for the their entertainment value that Vegas brings already. George Kliavkoff, worked in Las Vegas at MGM. He's got those connections already. They don't need UNLV, and I think the reality for UNLV is they're not bringing a lot athletically to the table. And these conference presidents, you got to remember you have the president of Stanford and Cal, two of the top institutions of learning in this country. Everyone's trying to get to that table where they can sit there with Cal and Stanford, all these other presidents. And I just think UNLV, the academics and the ratings and the rankings and all those things and the research dollars that the universities bring, the prestige, it's just not going to be there for them to ever be a Pac-12 school.
The San Diego State story has taken a lot of twists and turns in recent days. It's a very fluid situation. Here, 2 weeks before the Pac-12 Media Days for football, which is July 7, 2023, as we're talking, and the Pac-12 Media Days are 2 weeks from today. What do you think? Is San Diego State in or out of the Pac-12? It seems that they're in limbo right now regards their relationship with the Mountain West.
Yeah, it's a fascinating thing to watch. I don't have any firsthand knowledge of how it's going to play out, but I would. There's been a lot of smoke for a long time now about them being an addition to the Pac-12 that kind of keeps the conference with a foothold in Southern California for recruiting purposes. San Diego State's athletic department has obviously been proving itself in a number of sports. Just played for a basketball national championship. That couldn't have come at a better time for them. My gut feeling is that there's still a plan for San Diego State in the Pac-12. The fact that the Pac-12 is struggling to finalize a media rights deal is put them in this limbo. I think if they could go back in time, they wouldn't have issued any warning or whatever to the Mountain West that they were going to be departing. Put the cart before the horse a little bit to put them in an embarrassing situation and now posturing and all that. But my sense is that they wouldn't have done that if they didn't know they were a part of the Pac-12's plan long term. So I would assume that in the coming weeks and months that will get ironed out.
And there's also been some talk about SMU. I don't know what you've heard there in the Los Angeles area, but there seems to be in some quarters a linkage between SMU and San Diego State. The theory being that the Pac-12 might be able to get a footprint in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. What was your take on that?
Yeah, I mean that's a big leap for SMU as an institution. But I think that there is the financial resources are there. That's a big moneyed, Texas school, private school, and certainly the ability to recruit and come into Texas and have a Texas school right in the heart of Dallas. I think that there's some appeal there. Am I convinced that that's going to happen? No, but I could see that if you're thinking about it, if you need a 12th to go with your 11th, then I think that SMU has a strong argument for getting that boost.
My sense, as a one who's probably got a few more years on you, I remember the days of the imposition of the death penalty on SMU in the early 1980s when they were a part of the old Southwest Conference, which of course was absorbed into the Big 12. And my sense is that, and I could get some blowback on this, but my sense is that SMU has a lot of moneyed alumni who would love to get back into the chase for a national football championship, just as they were in the chase back in the early 80s when they had Craig James and Eric Dickerson. That's my opinion on it.
You betcha. You betcha. Yeah, no, that death penalty, actually, I reported a long form story on that way many years ago when I was at the Kansas City Star. So I do have a pretty good knowledge of that and the program and the culture there. And yeah, I mean, that's Texas, the heart of Texas football. And they took a big humbling and a big step back for many years. And the institution there for many years was afraid to ruffle the feathers of their faculty by trying to be good at football again, even when they were playing after the death penalty. And I think enough time has passed that I am sure the big money and oil and gas, alums of the school are ready to do what it takes to get them back to playing in a league where they can have access to the college football playoff and use that to start recruiting the same type of athletes they used to get at SMU.
There's increasing pressure on the Big Five conferences to provide NIL, name, image, likeness money. Do you think that means dangers for funding minor sports, especially in Big Five conferences?
No, I don't. The NIL money is, not coming straight from the universities. So, yeah, so some donors may be putting some more of their money into NIL, endorsements than they, with that money that would have used to have gone to an athletic donation straight to the athletic department. There's enough money. If these schools at the Power Five want to support non-revenue sports, Olympic sports, whatever you want to call them, there is money to do that. Name, image, and likeness is not a threat to that because it's not coming straight from the university coffers. It's coming from third parties. The thing that I think will be interesting long term is how do athletic departments manage their budgets when the money for football players starts coming straight out of the university's pocket and comes straight from the TV deals for revenue sharing. Eventually, athletes are going to get money straight from the school or the athletic department as part of the whatever collective bargaining stuff happens down the line. They're going to continue to get more and more, and so when it starts to come directly out of the university's cut or the athletic department's cut, then it gets a little tougher. The budgets have to be a lot more hard decisions have to be made. And I think that's one of the big, sounding the alarm thing that people do in college athletics when they start hearing about, players being paid directly or becoming employees or having a revenue sharing, agreement with the school is, that's gonna take money away from women's sports and all that. And that may be true, but there's enough money. There's always enough money. Look at the amount of money that is going now to, strength and conditioning coaches at these programs. $1 million for your strength and conditioning coach. I mean, at a football program, there's enough money. They just have to make better decisions.
And finally, Brady, I wanted to ask you, I'm here in the Midwest, and I grew up following Notre Dame football along with some other programs in the Midwest. Notre Dame every other year comes out to Los Angeles to play the Trojans. I would assume that rivalry will continue for the foreseeable future. In your opinion, where do you think Notre Dame is going to wind up as far as a football program, in what conference? Or are they going to continue to be independent?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big question. That's the number one realignment question, and has been since the moment USC and UCLA went to the Big Ten was, you know, how soon would Notre Dame feel the heat to join their longtime rivals, USC, Michigan, Michigan State, Purdue. A lot of the programs that Notre Dame has played year in and year out, but particularly the Trojans, now all under the same roof in the Big Ten, raking and dancing in their money. You know, how long is Notre Dame going to hold out? And I think that long term, I see Notre Dame, either being in the Big Ten or having a scheduling agreement with the Big Ten. I just think it makes too much sense. Their history and the region that that they're a part of. I mean, it just makes too much sense. And I just think eventually NBC, who's now a partner with the Big Ten in their new TV contract, has a Big Ten, investment, is going to be wanting to pool that. They're not going to want to spend a gajillion extra dollars on just a Notre Dame TV contract when they could loop Notre Dame in and just maximize everything that they're doing with the Big Ten. I think eventually Notre Dame's gonna run out of options to stay independent.
And Notre Dame already has a tie to the Big Ten in the sense that their hockey team plays in the Big Ten. All the other sports play ACC, as far as I know, but they do have some tangential connection to the Big Ten, so they've obviously worked with athletic directors and administrators, at least in the hockey area. I could see your point. That could easily spread to other sports as well, and I love your point about rolling ND into the NBC contract with the Big Ten. I think that would be very appealing to NBC and its advertisers. Brady, is there anything else that you wanted to add here before we wrap up?
No, it's you've got the right questions right now when it comes to what's happening in college sports. So I think we covered it pretty well.